Thanks, grace of heaven, virtues of masters, grand predecessors, transmitters, lecturers, and everyone here for giving me this opportunity to speak on today's topic, the difference of Dao and religion. Okay. So Dao is the absolute truth, right? Absolute principle. It can never be created or destroyed through time. Dao is our roots, origin, the source of everything in the cosmos. The Dao is the direct path to absolute heaven. Dao is the life force because it's everything in the cosmos is created from the Dao. So Dao is the creator, the God. Okay. Jigong Buddha said, where is Dao? Dao is within us. Dao is the truth. Dao is our true nature. Everything we do cannot part from Dao. Dao is the intangible and formless, yet the manifestation of Dao is called virtue. So Dao is inside of us, and even though we cannot see it, we cannot feel it, and yet if we don't have this Dao or the Buddha nature, then we won't be alive, right? Okay. Dao is oneness of two states. So Dao is void, and yet it can create myriad things in the universe. Dao has the accents and then applications, and Dao is the stillness, and yet when it's in the motion, it creates everything in the cosmos. Okay. I think I should save that for later, but I don't know. So in the fifth patriarch, Hongren, he was trying to test his disciples, see who is ready for him to pass on the next title, and then so his Hongren's senior disciple Shen Xiu came out with this verse: "The body is the Bodhi tree, the mind is like a stand of mirror brights. Time and again brush it clean, and let no dust alight." What Shen Xiu is describing is our human nature, where our human nature is constantly have to self-reflect and constantly peeling off our defilements, dust, so we can get to the bottom of it, which is our Buddha nature. And then Huineng came out with this verse to. What is it? It's like to match Shen Xiu's compliment. Okay. There is no Bodhi tree nor stand of mere brights, since all is void, where can dust alight? What Huineng is describing is our Buddha nature. Our Buddha nature does not be, brush it clean every day. It's because it's fullness, right? And yet we need both of them to attain Buddhahood, because we need to know our Buddha nature, and yet we also need to ratify our human natures to get that. So we have that. I think what Shen Xiu is describing is like the function, the application, and then Huineng is talking about is our essence.
But you really have to combine the two.
Yeah.
That's the oneness. That means oneness.
Yeah. So. And then in the Purity of Stillness Sutra, it says, the Great Tao is without form, giving birth to heaven and earth. The Great Tao is without preference, regulating the sun and moons. The Great Tao is without name, nurturing everything in the cosmos. I do not know its name, addressing it only as Tao. So Tao is the creator of heaven and earth and all the phenomena within it. Tao has no emotions or human sentimental feelings, and yet it regulates the sun and moon's regulates everything in the cosmos. And everything exists because of Dao. So Dao is indescribable, but the names assigned to it is out of reluctance because we have to give it a name so we know what we're talking about. So this in the I Ching Book of Change, it says 无极生太极，太极生两仪，两仪生四象，四象生八卦. It's like that's how Dao is from the void, and then everything come from Dao. So absolute heaven, and then it gives you yin and yang, and then there's true form, 4 image, and 8 trigrams. It's just there's another way of saying it's 一本善万书. So everything come from the source. Okay. So Dao is unbiased, law of nature. Like I mentioned earlier, it has no emotions and human sentimentals, or it do not judge, right? It's like a cause and effect, like attract likes. When you do something good, you will have good, good blessings. And when you do something bad, you will encounter calamities. Dao in the law of nature. So it's all the Earth is orbiting around the suns, and the moon is orbiting around the Earth, and how all the stars in the cosmos is orbiting in order, so it doesn't collide to each other. That's the law of nature. Dao in heaven is the principle of heaven is how everything, all the galaxies orbit. All the stars orbit in the galaxies, and also like how the sun rises from the east, and then set in the west. The Dao on earth is called the principle of the earth. How Dao nourishes everything on earth. If humans do not follow the way of the Daos, then the nature they will encounter the disasters such as collapse of the mountains and earthquakes, because our heart do not follow that nature. 三崩地裂. Okay, so Dao is in the plants. It's called growth nature. So the plant do not have a feelings, right? But they can grow when we watered it and it has enough sunlight, so it can grow. But it doesn't have a human sentimentals, and it doesn't create too. But Dao in ourselves is called Buddha nature, and with that Buddha nature, we can touch, we can feel, we can smell, we can create, we can think. Okay. Huh?
Mercury was spelled
Oh.
wrong.
In here? Okay. Okay. So the reason of receiving Dao is getting to know our true self and getting to know where we originally come from, our Buddha nature. Dao is the ultimate Dharma, and when we receiving the Dao, it's like we have that instant enlightenment. We know where that pointing out where our Buddha nature is. 1-point transmission from the true Dharma by enlightened masters. Receiving Dao is to certification of a future Buddha. That means you're certified to become a Buddha, but however, you have to practice it, right? Dao is to initiate our inner wisdoms, and so we can be self-aware. This Buddha say is 自信自度. Our Buddha nature will have to very guide us to to the way. And receiving Dao, if we don't do anything evil doings, we can, if we're doing everything in accord with our Buddha nature, we can transcend life and death. So the qualification of receiving Dao, they're saying that humans can receive Dao. If it's spiritual, we have to uplift them, right? Animals cannot receive Dao because they don't have that past, they don't have enough merits and they don't have that past life cultivations. So in order to receive Dao, we have to cultivate at least 3 lifetimes. And to have affinity with Saint Buddhas also means that we cultivated in our past life, and then we were, because of that cultivation in our past life, we have that affinity with Saint Buddhas. And our ancestors also performed many virtuous acts. Okay. 5th patriarch 无主弘忍 says, 奴等终日只求福田，不求出离生死苦海，自信若迷，福何可求? Basically, I did that translation. So if you're only seeking worldly blessings and do not seek to transcend bitter seeds of life and death, if the true nature has not been awakened, how will the worldly blessings save you? So it's like, even if you are a billionaire, okay, if we leave this world, we cannot bring a dime with us. So it cannot save us spiritually. We're still stuck in this cycle of life and death. Okay. So another way of saying it is that even if you're the richest person in the whole wide world, you have all the wealth, but the earth is like a dust mite compared to the whole universe. So, when we are at one with our Buddha nature, the whole universe, our Buddha nature is as vast as the universe. So which one do we want? Do we want the wealth of the dust mite or the whole universe? Okay. So after receiving Dao, we still need to practice Dao of humanity, because we incarnated for 60,000 of years, and we have attracted a lot of bad habits, temperaments, desires, attachments. So we have to, peel off layer by layer by cultivating the Dao of humanity, and try to get to the bottom of our Buddha nature. So we should cultivate the Dao of humanity, which is involve 5 consonants: benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and sincerity. And like Lecture Tai said, we have to be very, very, very sincere. Okay, 8 virtues: filial piety, brotherhood, loyalty, sincere propriety, righteousness, integrity, sense of shame. Okay, and 4 ethical pillars: 礼义廉耻, righteousness, integrity, sense of shame, and propriety. And then 5 relationships in the society, which mainly consist of superior and subordinate. They had to be superior had to be righteousness, and then the subordinate should be loyal to their superior. Husband and wife, there is a different roles in the house. So the husband should, in the old days, husband should be the breadwinner, and the wife would do the housework, take care of everything in the house. And then they should respect each other, have that propriety. parents and childhood, and children. So parents should be benevolent to their children, and the children should be filial to their parents. Brother and sisterhood. So I guess the younger one should be respect the elders, and the older should take care of the younger ones. Friendships. We should always have that trust, integrity between friendships. Okay. Okay. So Confucius said, "What heaven confers is called nature, our Buddha nature. According to this nature is called the way or the Dao. Cultivating the way is called the religions. So when we practice, the practice is called the religions." Okay. So what is the religion? Religion is the doctrines, the method, the means, the instruction, teaching, the guidance to teach us to do good deeds, be a good person. Okay. But religion in the old days, let me see if I have that. Okay, so there's different religions in the different periods. In the Green periods, there is Judaism, Hinduism, which created about 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, lasts about 1900 years. And then there's Taoism, Buddhism, Confucianism, Islam, Christianity, created about 3,000 years ago, and these practices still lasting. Religion is like a post-heaven, after heaven and earth is created. And then in the beginning, when people is still pure, and they don't need to receive Dao. They can come and go freely, come down, and then return back to heaven. But as I think it's in the 12 o'clock Wu Shi, right? When in that periods, over time, people's heart and mind start get more polluted and got further from the Tao. So heaven sends these saints and Buddhas to come down and teach us the way to return to our true self. And then that's why all the Jesus, Confucius, Sakyamuni Buddhas, Lao Tzu, they're all teaching the same, the source, the essence of the Tao. However, they have lost that essence. So, okay. So most religion practitioners, they believe that there is higher beings, and yet they don't realize that they have this Buddha nature within them, which come from God. And religion, it mainly teach people to do good deeds and accumulate merits, like mundane merits. Okay, so they can have a good blessings. However, all these religions will have to return to the Tao in the end, because it's the form, and then it will one day. I think it's like Holy Jigong Buddha say all the religions will have to return to the Tao, and all the religions derive from the Tao. Okay, so it's one Su Gui Yi Ben. Right? Okay, so religion is more of the gradual cultivations, such as the lower vehicles, listening to sutras, recite sutras, help others in needs, perform good deeds, meditation, turning the Dharma wheels, and transforming the chi within us. But they don't know, because they don't know our Buddha nature. So their practice is mainly external. They need external doctrines to guide them. Okay. Okay. Dao in religions. So Taoism is that, well, I think, okay, in Langavatara Sutra, 楞伽经. Okay, it mentioned that there's people have many different names addressing God. So origin, Buddha, heaven, Father, Jehovah, Allah, it's all meant the same thing. But because different people from the different part of the world just addressing it in a different way. Okay. And then Lao Tzu say a man must return to his roots in order to restore the true life. Buddha says everyone has this Bodhi mind, the innate wisdom. Okay. Confucius says mankind must serve God, heaven. Jehovah said everyone is the son of God. Okay. Okay. So all religion have hinted the first treasures, and yet people do nowadays. In religion, they don't know. They have lost the essence. Okay. The valley. Taoism is say the valley spirit never dies. 古神不死哈. I have great Dharma eyes, which is hidden in the eyes. 正法眼禅. Confucianism says bright virtue or conscience, 明德良心, or 至善宝地, that treasure location. Okay. Christianity, it says spiritual nature, 灵性. Okay. And John the Baptist told his disciple at Yangtze rivers that I shall baptize.
Jordan.
Oh, Jordan. Okay. Jordan. Okay. So he said that I should baptize you with water to show that you repent, but the one who come after me, I should baptize you with Holy Spirit and fire. And receiving Dao is 活习, is that Holy Spirit and fire. Okay. And Islam said Muhammad the prophet says, I found the great secret which took me to the upper heaven. And in Chinese, it's also say Ali Hu Liang Mu Mi Mu. It's say Ali Hu is that spirit that between two eyes, there's this secret between two eyes. Okay. Okay, Dao in religion. So Taoism mainly talk about non-motivational motivational actions. Buddhism talk about compassion. Confucianism talk about humanity and reciprocity. Christianity talk about brotherhood, and Islam talk about righteousness. And yet, all that is just part of Dao. It's like a puzzle to the whole picture. So everything is derived from the Dao, but it's not the whole picture. Okay. So, okay. So, to summarize that, Dao is the roots. It's basically the receiving Dao means to have that internal realizations. It's absolute truth, the principle, and to receive Dao is to seek the eternal life. Okay, and religion is mainly the branch of that tree. Okay, without the roots, the tree would not be alive. So Dao, religion is, we need the base foundation of from the Dao. Its external teaching is based on doctrines, scriptures. It's not, because they don't realize their Buddha natures, and then because they don't realize their Buddha natures, it's like beating around the bushes. It's impermanent. The authority with Dao is reside in heaven, and it has the enlightened master Jigong Buddha to open up that wisdom gate. Authority in religion reside with men, educated Dharma masters and teachers. So the Dao I think Sixth Patriarch Huinan said that 见性是公平等是德. So when we aware of our Buddha natures and everything we do is in accord with our Buddha natures, then that merit is like a virtue without a motive. Okay. Whereas religion, because they don't recognize their Buddha nature, so everything they do has a purpose. Maybe they want a better life, or they did something so they can find a better job, maybe nice wife or something. They did something in order something for return. That's like the Emperor Nan. He asked, what is it? He said how much he built all these temples, right? And then he said, does he has a merits? And then Bodhidharma said, you have no merits because he did it for a purpose. Okay. So receiving Dao practice is to achieve Buddhahood in one lifetime, and whereas religions is many lifetimes of cultivation because they don't know their Buddha natures. Okay, and with the Dao cultivation, we see first and then we cultivate. It's like we stand on top. It's like after receiving the Dao, and then the Holy Teacher has pointed out our Buddha nature. So there's this Buddha nature standing on the top of the stairs, and then we know our goals and we just walk up step by step. Whereas religion practice, they might go out to the bottom step one at a time, but they don't know where they're going because they don't have a goal on top of the higher steps, and so they might get lost in the ways, and that's why some people get into the religions or cultivate is to I think a lot of them in the Buddhism teaching, in the Buddhism religions, a lot of them got in there so they have that, they can get that supernatural powers, 神通, or they can tell a lot, like better, become better in fortune telling. Yeah. And Dao is limited, it has a time limits. Because we can only, in the old days, people receive Dao from one patriarch to another. So in this white periods, people who has affinity with Saint Buddhas and have cultivated at least 3 lifetimes, they can receive Dao during this periods, during this universal salvations. But the time is limited. It could be 100 or 200 years. But when that heaven's mandate is gone, we cannot receive Dao. It will become a religion. Whereas religions, it has no time limits. It will be here for a long time. Okay. Just like Christianity's Buddhism, it's been here for over 3,000 years now. Okay. And the result of Dao cultivation is for us to return back to our source, to our to the absolute heaven. And yet, with the religion cultivation, is that because they don't know where is the highest heaven, so most of the religion cultivation, they thought the temporary heaven is the highest heaven. So, and even though they do a lot of good deeds, but they do it for a purpose. So the highest level of the heaven they can go to is the temporary heaven. Okay. Yeah, so in conclusion, I still have 15 minutes. In conclusion, it's basically receiving Dao is to get to know our Buddha natures. And if we do not receive that Dao, then it's like a lost child without a sense of direction, beating around the bushes, and one constantly has to rely on someone or a doctrine to guide them. Not knowing that their Buddha nature can ferry them to the way. In this Dharma ending periods where people, they have gotten so far away from the truth, and without receiving this doubt and have our enlightened master Jigong Buddha to point out our Buddha natures, to open up our wisdom eyes, we cannot transcend life and death, because we can we don't have a sense of direction to where we're supposed to go to. And we will continue to be lost in this sixth path of reincarnation. This is why religion cannot transcend life and death, and because that their cultivation is not ultimate. They don't have that ultimate destination, which is the absolute heaven. Yep, that concludes my very, very short presentation. You guys have any questions? You guys can ask stuff in there.
From your presentation, what is your biggest or more precise answer to, let's say we have a lot of new people today who are actually Christians then, with your saying there's this difference between religion and the Tao. What would you say to those people today, and to let them know that the Tao is the root of all the religions, different to what you would say? Let's say they are here now and they're tied up in their religious belief. How would you?
From my personal experience, I think it's very, very hard to talk to Christian peoples, because they don't believe in reincarnations. They don't believe in life after death. So it's I tried to talk to them several times. They just got nowhere. But I would try to tell them that we all have that Buddha nature in us, that we should have that self-realizations. And we are all children of God, so we come from God, and that I think with the Christian practice, they always think like Father or God is like up here, Buddha is all up here, and then we are down here, and we are all like serve God's servers. We serve God, and we cannot be that equal, but they don't realize that we have that Buddha nature that is the same as all saints and Buddhas. So What would you do?
No, I don't think you probably didn't understand how I phrased the question.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that because we are trying to get more members in the temple,
Uh-huh.
right? We want to let people understand that this Tao is what it is, right?
Uh-huh.
And religion is, like you say, is just a branch. Okay, so in lecture Ty's lecture this morning, he explained it, but then where it said Jesus, people, unless we say no one can enter but through him, right? Meaning Jesus. So that's their core belief.
Yeah.
Okay, so when they come to the temple, and we are going to say yes, that is true. But still at the same time, you have to, unless you don't receive the Tao, right? You're not going to go to heaven. So how are you going to convince a Christian who is...
I think some of them, I think with Christian practice, it's not that they cannot go to heaven, but they misunderstood that the temporary heaven is the absolute heaven.
Yeah, but
So
they don't teach that stuff.
Yeah.
So they don't understand there is a temporary heaven and absolute heaven and that sort of stuff. We don't teach that.
yeah.
That's correct.
So
how would you explain the Dao to them to say that the Dao is the absolute? Dao is this root. Unless you have to understand that this tree is not going to exist, it's not existing without this root. So how are you going to differentiate this religion and this Dao to say this is the absolute truth?
I'm gonna run into the Wensu, the computer room, and I'm gonna drag a lecture tie or transfer right out.
Well, it's hard to
But-
convince. It's hard. Yeah, I mean, they have. It depends on their notion.
They're very
Notion.
Yeah.
stuck on that idea. You can't really convince them.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to be a little bit more open-minded.
Yeah.
Right.
I said that's true of anything. I mean, you have to be a little bit open-minded, and then to understand that. Well, I mean, if they just say, "Oh, the Bible, this is the truth," then you can't convince them, okay? Because they say it's just like whatever is in the Bible, that's it. Okay,
Yeah, they will stand out and walk out.
yeah, so those people you can't convince. I mean, other people, if they say, oh yeah, I mean, they believe whatever, I mean, but you know, believing is not enough. I mean, that's I don't want to say. I mean, you can believe anything, anyone can believe anything, but that's not sufficient. I mean, that's a necessary condition, but it's insufficient by itself, because you can believe, you know. So, but I mean. Yeah, part of the problem is because they can only hint at this three treasure thing and whatever, and so even Jesus is hinting at it, but people don't understand because they didn't get it. That's why they didn't receive it, so they don't know. And so he's saying the truth, the way, and the life. He's hinting at the three treasures too, and but you know, or all the other things, the symbols, you know, the cross and all that, narrow gate. But people don't get it because they didn't. Only a few of his disciples did get it. So, or some of his disciples got it, but not everyone. So, so it's like I don't want to say. I mean, but religion today it's kind of like the blind leading the blind. I mean, because they didn't. I mean, I don't want to say they know a lot, but they don't know the full story, or they don't know the true essence, the true meaning. I guess the actual truth behind it. So they only based on what they know, then that's what they're teaching. But that's it.
Yeah, it really takes a lot. I don't know, either a lot of study or whatever. I don't know what, but it really you need to really sort of like realize it. So it's what is the teaching saying? What is Buddhism, Confucianism, etc.
Yeah, I mean, so the other way about it is that they have, again, they have to be more open-minded,
right,
to be able to study, look at these other teachings, see, hey, wait. I mean, because if they only say, this is the only teaching, then they're not going to do that. So only those who are willing to explore other teachings, and then you can kind of realize, there's this commonality between these, something that's more universal. It's not just this specific, what this is saying in this specific teaching, because a lot of it is actually, has to do with, you have to separate what's the true principle from the various, the specific, like the precepts or the specific dharma, and problem, or the words, let's say the words. The problem is they get stuck on the words. They think, this is the word. It's written this way, and that's the exact truth. That's the truth. And they don't really realize that it can be said in different ways, and that they're all talking about that truth. So you have to kind of like deduce deduce, I guess, from these specific instances into this actual meaning.
Yeah, I get occasionally I get like Jehovah Witness people knocking on my door, and occasionally they will read like Bibles to me, and they were very attached to words, like every single words that what the Bible said. So when I try to, kind of like explain like what the similarity between the Bible and then the Dao teachings, and then they just shut down. I was like, no, the Bible says this. No. So yeah, so I think like especially those people who is very religious, so they're not willing to have other religion or other people who's not Christianity to tell them otherwise, right?
Yeah, at the same time, it's very difficult because see, there will be arguments. But if we want to explain this or show the real true difference, we have to go back a little to see how religion was actually spread, right? And to see the untruth that was given. But it will become political, and then it's going to create a problem because the way it is taught, it's so untrue, right? And we can't get into that because you don't want to argue about it. So, but this, if we can actually get into that and go back there and then show how it is distributed to people, right? And it's so convincing, but then what it does to people, it just gives you this false belief and send you on a path to without a real.
Oh yeah, I mean that is true because a lot of people are culturally based.
Yeah.
So they are taught things or whatever based on their culture. And so therefore, it's possible that you could, yes, be misleading, etc. But either way, it comes down to is really what kind of affinity you have, or what kind of relationship you have with the person, as well as how you are open to different concepts with effort. Yeah. So, like you say, people who tend to be more very religious, whatever, they tend to be people who, especially who goes out knocking on doors, will be people who to be very narrow. I don't want to say narrow, but it's like narrow, and so therefore, it's harder to deal with them. In fact, people who are like your next door neighbor or whatever, okay, maybe it's easier to deal with them or whatever.
Yeah, my uncle, growing up, our family normally to go to this temple in China. It's called Shan. It's not like Buddhist. It's more like a temporary saint temple, right? And because they go there like since the childhood, and then every time when I try to talk to my uncle about receiving Dao, he's like, he only believes Shan. And then, and then it was, so.
Yeah, because in a way you're taught that, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think it also another way is their thinking is that if they come to receive Dao, or most of them think that Dao is another religion,
right.
And because if they think that they're betraying what they believe, like the saints and Buddhas, right. Or betraying God, or I don't know. Yeah, and a lot of religion think that there are many God, like your God and my God, but they don't know that it's the same. We all came from the same source. Yeah.
Yeah, you see again, like John Smith says, culturally distributed, so they think that this, like for instance, the way that Jesus is portrayed in religion, which is totally, untrue, alright? So, and people have this way of looking at things, and then they keep repeating. So after a while, it just gets stuck to his hand. Like this wall is put up so you can penetrate that solace, and break that barrier to get to them to show the truth.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, it's unfortunate that people can not see outside forms.
Yeah.
So therefore, a lot of people just rely on form. That's the only thing. And so, you need to really look beyond that. But even then, like when Buddhism talks more about like, no forms or whatever, you have to also understand the fact that I guess you could say it's more subtle than regular religions, because but the point is that the fact that you still need to really truly understand what it means by void, the form, non-form. Let's put that with non-form. But it talks about that, in Buddhism. But still, it's hard to get a concept of it, get a understanding of that.